Now, we had mentions of Good Friday. We had mentions of Holy Thursday. And I wanted to tap into that just a little bit because Holy Week really is just this huge part. We're talking about all these wonderful things, right? And then it kind of leads it builds and builds and builds and builds to this high point, which is Holy Week and the Easter Triduum. And then, of course, Easter at the highest of the high points. But we have this incredible week that leads toward it. And it starts with Palm Sunday, Passion Sunday. And I don't know, does anybody really like palms? Anybody, do anything special with their palms,
My wife makes great crosses out of
it. No, I mean, we have these wonderful traditions of, some people grab a whole bunch of them and they come back and they got, crosses galore, palm crosses galore. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So what do y'all do with your palms?
I learned recently that there's a proper way to dispose of your palms because they've been blessed, so that I do know a priest now who collects them to burn them. But in the past, I've just kind of held on to them, and I didn't actually know what to do with them, so now I know.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like we were talking about before. You could be a Catholic all your life, and you're not really sure exactly what to do with it. But it's part of, so that's the idea of what, we'll say how it's supposed to be. Nowadays you could buy ashes on Amazon. They'll come in 2 days. But the idea, throughout, a lot of the history of our church was you have these palms and you use them on Palm Sunday. You reenact this incredible story of Jesus entering as they proclaim Hosanna in the highest, all that good stuff, right? And then, you don't need those palms anymore after a certain point. So they collect all the palms back and they burn them. And then you get your ashes. And then you use the ashes, and then you have the palms, and then it just kind of continues that cycle through. And it's this great way to kind of keep that flow going, and also to draw in that connection, because so much of the story is so intimately linked together, and so to have that link is really cool. And it's also the first time. It's Palm Sunday, we often call it, but also, maybe more technically, it's called Passion Sunday, because that's the first time in that week where we get to hear the Passion. And so what is that experience like? When you're there, and they make you stand for all that time, and you got to hear this whole big story, but we know it's this incredible story. So what's that like, to be out in the pews and hearing the Passion of our Lord?
Sometimes it feels a little bit like whiplash when you start with Palm Sunday and you have kind of this glorious procession going into the church and people are laying down their palms for Jesus because they recognize that he's the king. And then within the next 40 minutes, you're brought to his passion. And so I think as a child, it was really hard to understand how people could, on the one hand, recognize Jesus for who he was and, pay homage to him, but also that there would be people who would want to kill him. So I think that was always something that was just a little bit difficult to grapple with, kind of having both of those in the same service on Palm Sunday. It's almost like, especially as a child, but even now, you just want to stay with the palm procession and you don't really want to make it to the Passion quite yet, even though you know it's coming and that there's beauty beyond it. It was always a little bit difficult to kind of go from that glorious moment to the Passion.
I think there's something real, very real about that response, and that way to look at it that I suppose points us back to the reality of what happened, because it kind of was not 40 minutes, right? But just in the course of a few days for that to swing so hard from this side all the way over to there. And I think sometimes it's one of those things we kind of need to remind ourselves of like how high the high was and then how low the low was and then how high the high was again, and it was kind of almost whiplashy. And that's part of the story we're supposed to be drawn into, right?
I've been to Palm Sunday, Passion Sundays, where it's just so stoic. It's just there's nothing there to draw you to the story. And then I've gone to other churches where it's almost like this production. The music, just the whole way it's presented. So I think, to me, I always want to hopefully have that experience, because, just reading the story, you can all read the story, but you want to be able to feel it and sort of experience it in the moment. And I just, it's one of the things I do like about the church. Sometimes it can be very theatrical in a way, between the music and the lighting and the way it's read, and there's multiple people reading it and your participation. So I enjoy it. Well, I guess I do enjoy it, but at least it's a better experience that way for me.
Those 3 days are so dynamic. I mean, if I live through from Thursday through Sunday, Monday I'm tired. Absolutely, and it's a letdown. And I remember on the calendar many years ago, it was called Low Monday. The Monday after Easter was called Low Monday. What else could it be called after Easter?
Yeah.
It's the dynamic celebration.
Yeah, I guess.
Very dynamic.
Yeah.